I'm ready. Okay. Okay. I'm ready. You'll understand why there's this delay right now for me. But when I say I'm ready to start telling my story. I don't know when I'll post this video, but I am in a place in my walk and in my life that I am ready to share my story, share how I reached today. Over the last 4.5 years, I have been sober from alcohol, and it has been life changing. I received more than what I bargained for. And I remember the last time I had any alcohol was the night of my 40th birthday. And I remember I was drinking to the point that I don't remember a lot of things. But I remember that night how I broke down crying. And in that moment, I became sober. I was heavily inebriated and crying from the pits of my belly. This was a completely different type of cry. It was, I hit the fork in the road. I had been drinking since I was, I don't know, 13, 14 maybe. My father passed when I was 12. That was the starting point of my life changing completely. It was life altering. I lived this little fairy tale princess life. I remember as a little girl, even though my parents at the time were divorced, I was very close with my father. I would visit him every weekend. He spent nothing but quality time. He was not a dad that bought Barbies and toys. He would buy practical items, typewriter, a desk. I would write letters to my grandparents. And so he taught me so many life lessons and personal lessons, and just things. He would share words of wisdom that I would understand when I later became an adult. But losing my father was so tragic for me. And from there on, my life, day to night, who I was, day to night, the decisions that I made, the choices that I made, living very recklessly because I didn't have the desire to live. I was angry at my life. I was angry that why did it have to be my dad? I was angry. My mom remarried the same year. I was mad at that. There was so much going on. And I still remember when my mom had to tell me that my dad passed. It literally felt like someone gut punched me. And I remember my mind just racing. The biggest feeling that I remember was, how am I going to live? How am I going to live? Being that young, my parents they're wonderful parents. I never had a need or a want for anything when it came to items and being loved and, just being a child. So in my teen years, the desire to live, the desire to do the right thing, the desire to do what I knew to do better and make better choices, I chose not to. I chose the opposite. I surrounded myself with the wrong crowd. I wanted to be there. I avoided a lot. I was angry. I was angry. I was angry, and my thing was, I don't give an F. That's how I lived. Alcohol came to me when I was younger because it was just something that I could do that would numb what was going on inside of here and what was going on inside of here. And I've learned the biggest warfare is this. It's the biggest warfare we deal with on a daily basis as a human. I remember losing hope that I would ever become clean and sober prior to turning away from drinking alcohol and the life that came with it. I had been depleted of any hope. And I remember when I used to pray in those times, there would be something within me that would tell me, just ask God, just ask him, continue to ask him to rescue you. I used to pray and ask God, just please rescue me from this life, rescue me from myself. I'm going down and spiraling out. Sobriety is the greatest gift besides the gift of life and my children that I have experienced so far in my life. I never realized what was going to come out of this that God has blessed me with. I don't have a desire to ever go back. It's not even just about the alcohol. It was the life I lived that came with it. Never want to go back there. I don't miss it. That's not where I am anymore. I don't want it. I don't have the desire. And over the last 4.5 years, who I am now is so different. It's vastly different from who I was. God is really been working with me every day. There is not a day that goes by that I don't make intentional decisions. And what I mean by that is I'm not impulsive in my thinking. I am able to logically weigh out the options, the pros, the cons. God has helped me to control my emotions, how to process information, how to process feelings. I mean, those are all things that I did not do at all. God literally helps me to be a wife. He helps me to be a steward unto him. He helps me to be a mother, helps me to be a daughter. Like, I go to God for everything. I rely on God in every aspect of my life on a daily basis. Like, this is different. I completely surrendered myself to God. And every day I thank God and I have the gratitude that he allowed me to live long enough to finally make it out, to finally sit with myself, learning how to have peace with myself. I mean, when I tell you this has been a journey, I can't even get it all out in one setting. Like, this is like a lifetime story, I feel like, because the change that has occurred in my life so drastically came at a much later stage of my life. So you have to think, starting from 12 till 40, I mean, that's a long time. And I am so thankful to be on this path. I didn't realize it, but before I remember, I used to always say to my mom and my aunt and family, like, I just want to give hope. I desire to give hope unto others. That desire came from my father's death and the details surrounding that. And I always said, and I always vowed that I would speak a message of hope in hopes that it saves a person's life. That even if they were thinking about ending their life, perhaps the hope that I shared through my testimony or a encouraging word that God places on my heart, however I'm led, my desire is to give the hope to people to hold on, because I am one of those people. I commonly hear people say, a leopard doesn't change its spots. People don't change. I understand that, but I am one of those people who have changed. So when I see people that look hopeless, I see me. And so I don't give up on people. I don't care how long it's been that maybe they've lived a certain way that's self-destructive. I still have hope, and I know that the day may come that their heart may surrender and change and decide to walk away from that life. It still happens. It is possible. Anything is possible. And I recognize as I'm going through this journey, it's not enough for God to save me and pull me out and rescue me. I owe it to God to give back. right? I owe it to God to share my story and my testimony. This has been a long while in the making because for so long I was very embarrassed. I wasn't going to record and admit this to strangers or strangers and the world. Like, I really just felt ashamed to admit such. And I don't feel that way anymore. I'm looking at the beauty of it. I'm looking at the benefits that it can produce, the way that I can relate and empathize to people with so many different stories. Like, I've been through a lot. I've been through tragic situations. I've been through hopeless situations. Also suffer consequences of my own actions as well. I've experienced a lot. And all of that was not just to rescue me, but at some point I have to go back and now I have to share my experience. I have to share where I'm at right now in my walk with God. I have to share the message of hope. And that's where I'm at right now. This is a message of hope. Anyone who is struggling with any addiction. And here's the thing, my addiction, I remember when I opened up to some family members, they really thought like I just wasn't maybe making the right observation about myself, because they're like, what do you mean? Like, you've always had a job, you've had your career, you went back to school, you raised 3 children, you blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, yeah, that's the thing. Addictions don't always show up in people to be so obvious. I was a functioning alcoholic, completely functioning alcoholic. And so many people struggle. So many people struggle with addictions. So many people struggle with mental health. I feel like it's more often than not that people are struggling with either or both, right? And it's easy to feel alone. It's easy to just sit in it for so long that you become very dysfunctional in your way of thinking, or you just surround yourself with the same people. And then when I came out of it, I'm like, oh my God, it was like events that I attended, everything was just about alcohol for me. Like, okay, so we're going to go to this birthday party, and then let me make sure I have my, my package, my stuff, because when I get back. And it was when I remember my first week of my sobriety, I realized how much my everyday living was based around alcohol. It took a while for me to not accidentally say or think, okay, I'm going to have a drink now. Like, and I would get pissed off because I'm like, I don't even want to do this thing, but it's created such a habit. And for so long, like, this was no joke. And there's not a day that goes by that I'm not thinking, that I'm not analyzing, I'm not processing information, following logic. Like, I've never thought so much in my life. I've never broken down my behaviors in a day or how I handled situations the way that I do now. And for now, I just got to get this out there. I've just got to share about my sobriety. And I pray that God would just continue to lead me in creating these videos and sharing things as God leads me to. So I am very hopeful that just this message alone will be impactful for someone, even if it's just one person. That's more than what it was before I put this video out. And my prayer is that God would continue to guide me in what I am to share, when, how, what to say. But I am hopeful that my transparency helps to save the life of another person, helps to get someone possibly to go back to God. Maybe you've walked away out of anger. Maybe you walked away out of hurt. Maybe you walked away from God out of disappointment. Go back. Go back. You have to go back. I thank God for sparing my life. So many instances that I should have been dead by way of my destructive behaviors. And I'm sitting right here talking to a camera, ready to share with the world, to inspire another soul. May this message fall on the ears of those who need a message. May it fall on the heart of those who is receptive to hear from God. Hang in there and don't give up. May you be blessed, and may God continue to direct me on my path of my story.